were born, was this a vision you had?
I'm
All-star
not.
like
I'm
this?
not LeBron James. I'm not gonna tell my kids what they have to do. I just want to.
Yo, check this out. Ron Harper rolled up to NBA All-Star Weekend, caught his two sons doing their thing, smiled for the cameras like a proud dad, and then out of nowhere threw absolute fire at LeBron James in front of the whole crowd. No teaser, no slow build, just one sharp line that hit hard and said it all. And the wildest part? He didn't even flinch after dropping it.
I'm not LeBron James. I'm not gonna tell my kids what they have to do. I just want to play and enjoy the game, and whatever they can get back out the ball game, we will take it. Once upon a time, I told them whatever opportunity that you have, you should have a chance to play in the NBA.
So what do y'all think? Was Ron Harper out of line, or did he absolutely have every right? Here's the deal. 2026 NBA All-Star Weekend came and went, and out of everything, the dunk contest, the three-point showdown, the main All-Star game, the clip people won't stop talking about has nothing to do with any of that. It's all about a 55-year-old former champion standing at a podium, casually, effortlessly, and without raising his voice, absolutely dismantling LeBron James. But before we dive deeper, let's make sure everyone knows exactly who Ron Harper is. If you're younger or not glued to NBA history, that name might not ring a bell, and that would be a huge miss. Harper's shake fake, the kick out, the steal, scanning the floor, that man had it all. Ronnie Harper was never an all-star in his 15-year career, never got the nod, never had the spotlight, yet somehow he closed his career with 5 straight NBA championships. 5. Pause for that. He was the starting point guard on the second Chicago Bulls three-peat from 1996 to 1998.
Chicago looks to take the lead in a very low-scoring first quarter. It's Harper on the run. Harper, a great scorer early in his career with the Cavaliers and the Clippers. That's his first point tonight.
That's the Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan Bulls dynasty everybody raves about. The one Netflix made a full doc on. And guess what? Ron Harper was in the starting lineup for all 3 of those championships. Then he took a year off in '99, came back, and went straight to work again, this time with the Los Angeles Lakers under Phil Jackson, linking up with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant for their first 2 rings in 2000 and 2001. 5-time champ, never once an all-star. That's either the most slept-on career in NBA history or the ultimate supporting role, maybe both. And don't sleep on his individual talent either. Early in his career, he had multiple seasons averaging over 20 points a game. The man could ball. But he spent the latter half of his career surrounded by some of the greatest to ever touch the game, so the stats took a back seat to championship glory. Most players would take that trade every single time. Fast forward to 2026, and Ron Harper is back in the headlines, not for his own on-court feats, but because of his sons. He's got 2 currently in the NBA, and honestly, the Harper family story is straight up captivating. The older, Ron Harper Jr., is with the Boston Celtics. He's kind of a journeyman at this point, on his 3rd team in just 4 seasons. Step back behind the arc, drops a 3. Huge shot, confidence booster. He's making it work, carving out his career, staying in the league. That's solid. Not everyone is destined for stardom. Role players are vital. But then there's Dylan Harper, the younger son, just 19. And make no mistake, Dylan Harper is a straight-up problem.
Pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Dylan Harper from Rutgers University.
The 19-year-old Dylan Harper out of Rutgers.
The San Antonio Spurs snagged Dylan Harper with the 2nd overall pick, and halfway through his rookie season, this 19-year-old is already dropping 11 points per game. That's not just solid, that's straight up impressive for a rookie. He went 2nd in the 2025 NBA Draft, only behind Cooper Flagg, the consensus #1 pick. And speaking of the Spurs, don't sleep on them. They're currently sitting with the 3rd best record in the league, just 2 games behind the Oklahoma City Thunder for the top seed in the West. They've already beaten OKC 3 times this season. And keep in mind, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still dealing with that oblique injury. No one knows when or if he'll be back fully healthy after the All-Star break. Meanwhile, the Spurs are healthy, focused, and looking dangerous heading into the playoffs. Their rebuild has been insanely fast, and Dylan Harper is a huge reason everyone's watching. So naturally, the whole Harper family, Ron Jr., and Dylan, showed up at All-Star Weekend to compete together in the Shooting Stars event. It's a fun, charity-style competition, lighthearted and nostalgic. And it stayed that way until Media Day afterward, when things got absolutely hilarious. The kids, especially Dylan, didn't hold back from clowning their dad. Apparently, Ron Sr. set a very specific standard on the layup portion, and that standard was not high. The kids basically roasted him on camera, and Ron just sat there nodding, saying he took it with grace. 5 championships, y'all. This man can handle his kids roasting him at a celebrity shooting contest. But then the moment shifted. A reporter asked Ron a simple question. When these boys were born, did he imagine them becoming NBA players? Did he see them following in his footsteps? Ron paused for a split second and then detonated a nuclear device straight at LeBron James's legacy. He said, "I'm not LeBron James. I'm not going to tell my kids what they have to do. I just wanted them to play." Boom! Clean, unbothered, no theatrics, just facts. To Ron, it's obvious. You let your kids carve their own path. You don't script their future or engineer it to boost your legacy. You let them play. And Dylan's reaction? Priceless. He didn't hide a thing. That smile said it all. Everyone in the room knew exactly who Ron was referencing. No translator needed. Because LeBron made no secret of what he wanted for Bronny, to play alongside him in the NBA. He broadcast that dream constantly, and when it finally happened, the execution raised eyebrows. Bronny, by most scouting reports, was around the 100th best prospect in his class. The Lakers took him 55th overall. And if you're honest about why, you have to acknowledge LeBron's influence on the front office's decision. Not a conspiracy, just the obvious reading of events. Since then, Bronny has played 56 games across 2 seasons, averaging 2.2 points per game on 35% shooting. That's not a slump, that's a consistent 2-year sample. And to be fair, none of this is really Bronny's fault. He was put in a nearly impossible spot, drafted not because the team thought he would help them win, but because his dad wanted him there. That's a brutal situation for any young player, especially one facing questions about whether he truly belongs in the league. The pressure is immense, and he didn't ask for most of it. Meanwhile, LeBron has been the loudest to celebrate this father-son milestone. He's been clear, playing with his son is the pinnacle. It's probably the greatest accomplishment I've ever had, he says. Done it all individually, but nothing tops being on the same floor as my son, the greatest thing that's ever happened. 4 NBA championships, 4 MVPs, 2 Olympic golds, and his single greatest accomplishment, in his eyes, is sharing the court with a player averaging 2.2 points per game on 35% shooting. Wild, right? But for LeBron, it's genuine. He loves his son, no doubt about it. Here's the thing, that part is real, but the way the whole scenario was engineered and then celebrated by LeBron James himself, hard to ignore when you stack it up against Ron Harper at that podium. The contrast is anything but subtle. One man essentially forced his son into the league using every bit of organizational leverage he had and has been throwing himself a parade ever since. The other raised 2 sons who each earned their spots independently. One a journeyman role player, the other a potential franchise cornerstone, and when asked about it, just shrugged and said he let him play. And speaking of LeBron at All-Star Weekend, besides the Ron Harper moment, he had another memorable interaction during his media availability before the game. A reporter asked about his future, whether he plans to play next season. A fair question, considering he's approaching his mid-40s and has dropped hints about possibly retiring. LeBron was not thrilled. "I just want to live. I don't know. I have no idea. I just want to live." That's it. He just wants to exist, to stop getting bombarded with intrusive questions about his basketball future. Now that might be easier to sympathize with if he hadn't spent most of his 22-year career making sure the spotlight was on him at all times, running up and down the court with crowns, showing up to events with actual GOATs, calling himself the GOAT at every opportunity, building a brand around being the greatest ever, and making sure nobody forgot it. Right. So when it comes to compliments, championships, and legacy, he's fully present and loves talking about himself. But the second a slightly uncomfortable question about his future comes up, suddenly he just wants to live in peace. Fascinating. The Los Angeles Lakers don't play their first game after the All-Star break until Friday, taking on Kawhi Leonard and the suddenly hot Los Angeles Clippers. That game should be fire. Kawhi was absolutely cooking an All-Star weekend, one of the most entertaining performances of the entire event. But let's circle back to Ron Harper because it's worth appreciating what he did one more time. He didn't angrily call out LeBron, didn't spend 10 minutes dissecting the Bronny situation, didn't write a column, record a podcast, or go on the radio to air grievances that people have been talking about for 2 years. He answered a question honestly in about 15 words, and the room felt it. That's a different kind of disrespect. Quiet, unbothered, the kind that shows he's not mad, he just finds the whole thing a little silly. 5 rings, 2 NBA sons on their own merit, and all he had to say was, "I'm not LeBron James. Nothing else is needed." Ron Harper said what a lot of people were thinking, just better than anyone else could have. 5 rings, 2 NBA sons, 0 apologies. Meanwhile, LeBron, he just wants to live. We'll check back on that. If you're feeling this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a